Yes, people, how's it going? Welcome back to Lilywhite Lane. Hope you're doing good. Hope you're keeping safe and well. Now, I wanted to come on here the day after we lost 1-0 to Burnley, the day after all the drama surrounding Antonio's post-match, comments, and really discuss it. Because I did a video on it last night, and I think my opinion slightly changed since then. And I think last night's video was more about if Antonio Conte did leave Tottenham Hotspur, how much it would affect the club. Whereas today I'm going to go a little bit more in depth on Antonio Conte. And is he right to really make these comments midway through a crucial season for Tottenham Hotspur? So let's discuss, right? Antonio Conte came out yesterday in his post-match interview. And unless you've been living under a rock, you would have seen it by now. He slammed the players. He slammed the board, as I say. Come out and made comments like, different coaches, different managers, same players, saying that sort of thing. And it's just a lot of his comments last night, I think, honestly, were really, really childish. And I'm really frustrated by a lot of these comments because why? Why, when you lose a game, are you slamming your players openly? I don't care who you are. I don't care if you're Antonio Conte. I don't care if you're Pep Guardiola. I don't even care if you're Steve Bruce. No manager should openly, to the media, slam and batter their own players. Yeah, Antonio Conte went out there last night and did that. And all of a sudden, all of that confidence from the Manchester City game is killed. And what I don't understand is how you can be saying on Saturday that this is the greatest group of players you've worked with in your time coaching, in your career, as I say, and then coming out 3 days later saying, same players, different managers. It's just, I think it's very overreactionary. I think it's very egotistical. And I just think it's not right to do that. Now, a lot of his comments about the players, we all know certain players in that Tottenham Hotspur team aren't good enough. We all know, or a majority of us agree, that Emerson Royale isn't good enough. A majority of us agree that Harry Winks isn't good enough. A majority of us agree that Davinson Sanchez is good enough. But don't openly slag them off in the media, because all that's going to do is destroy their confidence up until the end of the season. Whether you walk or not, if you're staying here as Tottenham Hotspur Football Club manager till the end of the season or further on, or whatever happens after that, you're stuck with these group of players. You're stuck with these group of players until the summer. And instead of sort of moving on, instead of sort of going, okay, we were unlucky, we really showed some effort, as I say, we shouldn't be losing this game, we're sorry to the fans, let's move on to the next one. Now, of course, fans are going to openly slag that off and say, it's Spursy mentality or whatever. But when a manager's actually coming out and saying what the fans say, it's not right, because the players are going to hear what the manager's saying. You tell me they ain't going to be watching Sky Sports. We saw it in All or Nothing. They've got Sky Sports on the bloody training ground when they're eating their food, their breakfast and their lunch or whatever. You're telling me that's going to be a headline on Sky Sports, and they're not going to be looking at the likes of Emerson Royale, the likes of Davinson Sanchez, no matter your opinions on them, looking at that interview and going, this guy really doesn't believe in me. Just watching it on the telly going, this guy doesn't believe in me. Why should I care? Why should I give my all? He's flip-flopping on me as a player. Why should I give my all? And that's just going to contribute to our downfall until the end of the season, because you're stuck with these players. It's just really, really childish from Antonio Conte. I think a lot of his comments are absolutely spot on, right? He's spot on, at sort of digging at the board and hinting that they're not good enough. The majority of Spurs fans, including me, are in agreement that the board isn't good enough. I'm also in agreement that the players aren't good enough, but don't openly say it as a manager just because you've got that voice. And if you're such a good manager, and I understand we say, we haven't learned stuff over the years, it's not the manager. I understand that, and it's not the manager. If there's a big issue at Tottenham Hotspur, which I don't think is as big as Conte makes out there, is if there's a massive issue at Tottenham Hotspur, it's not the managers, it's the owners and the players. And unless something's happened behind the scenes, I don't really think there is as big an issue as Antonio Conte's come out and said. And all he's doing is putting down the confidence of players, putting down the confidence of the team, and certain players aren't going to get up for him. Certain players aren't going to want to play for Antonio Conte, right? It's absolute rubbish. I don't understand it. Your comments can be right, but why, because you've got that voice, are you making that? And if you're such a good player, and like I said a second ago, we're in agreement as fans, basically, that the owners are the main problem at this club if there is a big one. But, for you not to even hint that you got it wrong at all, but not, at least come out and say, okay, I wasn't too happy with myself. He hasn't done that in any of our losses. And it might not be him, but, you know, yesterday his tactics did cost us the game. I'm not going to massively criticise him because he's such a quality manager. And if anyone's going to, you know, if anyone's going to get it right with Tottenham Hotspur and take us forward, it's going to be Antonio Conte. But his tactics weren't right yesterday, right? He's sticking with a 4-3-3 that worked in one game out of our last 5 losses. And you're coming out and, you know, and you may be right or wrong, I want to hear your guys' opinions. You're coming out and criticising the team and the way we're playing, yet you're setting us up to play a 3-4-3 time after time after time again when you know it's not really working. You know, it worked once against Manchester City based on their system. It'll probably work against Leeds, but against the Burnleys, against the Wolves, against the low block teams, it's poor. And his comments are just really, really arrogant. If anything, I think they are very, very arrogant. I think he gets away with it based on the magnitude of his name and achievements in his past career. He's done it everywhere he goes. I understand that, but you know, the best thing you can do is try and bring some confidence to the players. Try and get the training ground motivated. Try and uplift the players. And until the end of the season, whether you're going to walk or not, make them think they're 10 foot tall. Make them think they're quality, whether they are or not. And let's be honest, a lot of the players he's sort of hinting at, the Royals, the Sanchez, the Winks, they're not quality at all. But make them think they are, to at least bring some confidence and belief into that dressing room where all you're doing is contributing to our downfall. Are we going to get top 4 now if Conte carries on with this attitude? No, because he's flip-flopping. One week he's saying, you know, that we've got a quality team and this is the best group of players he's worked with in his career. And the next week he's coming out and saying, you know, these players aren't good enough. And that's right. I know they're not good enough, Conte. And most fans agree with you that the players are not good enough. And that's because of the owners. But why come out and openly say it if you believe and want the best for this club? It doesn't make sense to me. Does Conte walk? I think we're finding out the day after. I don't think he'll walk. Or not before the Leeds game. If we lose that, then there's a potential chance. But it's very arrogant. And he gets away with it based on his name. And it's so frustrating as a fan. We've lost 4 out of our last 5 games. And he brings that up when he's asked about tactics. You don't want to talk about yourself or your tactics. He's asked about tactics by Sam Madface and he just goes, we've lost 4 out of 5 players, and goes on about the, you know, we've lost 4 out of 5 games, and starts to go on about the players and the team and that he wants to talk to the owners. What does he really want? You know there's going to be an overhaul in the summer, Conte. You know you are probably going to get back, no matter people's opinions about Daniel Levy and Enoch, I'm sure they will back Conte because they wouldn't have brought him in otherwise. But we got 4 players that Antonio Conte wanted out of the club in January. We brought in 2 players that him and Paratici wanted, yet you're still really complaining. It's like, I don't really get what he wants out of this interview. And I think he's making a situation that isn't as bad, in all honesty, as people make out, a lot worse. He's making, you know, he's making the issue at Tottenham Hotspur bigger and worse, and giving it more media exposure, so that all the headlines right now are Conte comments, and players are going to be watching that in the dressing room, right? Harry Kane, as much as he's got a good relationship and believes in Antonio Conte, is he going to look at that interview and go, this is the manager I want to be playing under, no matter your opinions about Antonio Conte? I understand he's achieved, and I want him, right? Despite all the comments I made, I want him to stay as Tottenham Hotspur manager. I really do. I think if anyone's going to win stuff with this club, it's Antonio Conte. But right now, he needs to stop this, you know, moaning and groaning and really egotistical and arrogant, acting like a 5-year-old throwing his toys out the pram if he wants to achieve something this season. He's already thrown the towel in when there's, 12 games remaining, something like that. I don't get it myself, but look, we'll wait and see what happens. Like I say, I believe in Conte. I believe he's the right person to take us forward, but why he's making a bad situation worse, I don't understand. That's just my view. I want to hear your guys' opinions in the comment section below. Thank you for watching, and as always, come on you Spurs. Enoch out. In Conte, we trust.